Welcome, Terry.
Good evening. It's nice to be here.
I have a kind of strange question for you, but here we go. If you were going to teach a course in financial literacy, not financial illiteracy, what would be the basic things that you'd be teaching?
I like to think that everyone should be able to handle 4 items and to get themselves organized and be literate about their own circumstances. I like people to take out a piece of paper, sit down at the kitchen table, and write down what they own, what they owe, what they earn, and what they spend. If people can identify those 4 things, what they're really doing is constructing personal financial statements about their own circumstances. What they own and what they owe it's a balance sheet, assets and liabilities. What they earn and what they spend is a cash flow statement, how it comes in and how it goes out. It's hard to get a handle on all that.
Yeah, I mean, I would think of the 4 things, what's the one that people have the hardest trouble listing?
No question that people both have a lack to understand what things they own and what they're worth at given points in time, but probably absolutely the hardest thing people have is identifying where does the money go. That's the hard part. It seems like the end of the week comes, the end of the paycheck comes before the end of the week.
It definitely seems that way for all of us, and it doesn't seem to matter how much money you have. You're always having a hard time tracking that.
Well, I think that's part of the problem, and I think that's what we refer to as this problem of illiteracy, because people seem to build a lifestyle directly proportionate with what they can earn. But what they don't factor in is something to pay themselves. They don't make sure that part of that lifestyle includes savings. Part of that lifestyle includes setting money aside for a rainy day or even for their future, whether it's educating their children or retiring.
Let's go to our first phone call. We're going to talk to William. Hi, William.
Hi, Sherry. I have a question for Terry.
Okay.
Now, Terry, I'm in a situation where I'm a college student and I work in the Department of Public Works in Orange. Okay. Now, I get paid every 2 weeks. Now, my problem is that my girlfriend, okay, you know how women are during the summer, they want to go on vacation. Now, I have a situation where she spends all her money, okay, within a week's period, and she does work. Now, how would I, myself, as a young person, how to budget money? What would you give me for advice?
How old are you, John? William, I'm sorry.
I'm around 24.
Okay.
It is so incredibly important, William, that you're interested in this at your age, because we know that when people start at much younger ages, they can take many, many more opportunities with their money. They have so much time to plan for. They can take more risk in making their money work for them. When you talk about making a budget, I think what we're talking about is making a list of those expenses that are fixed in your life, things like your rent, things like a car payment, things like a payment maybe for furniture, etc. And those expenses in your life that are variable, or what we might call discretionary. They're up to you how you spend your money. And when you look at that list, the first place you can go is to the discretionary side of the page and make decisions about whether you spend money on certain things you want to buy or whether you put certain monies away for deferred consumption, money that you'll spend in later years.
What's the difference? Let's say that he was not in his 20s, but he was in his 30s or in his 40s. What's the difference in terms of what your financial goals need to be as you go on in your years?
Well, we are faced with ever-increasing life expectancy, so even people in their 50s have as much as 35 years to plan for. Mm-hmm. But the issue becomes that as we get older, we become less flexible, we get a little more set in our ways, we get a little more used to a certain way of lifestyle, and as a result, it's harder to make those changes. The earlier we start, the easier it is to put money away. As a result, we also have different time frames for certain goals. William may be thinking now about buying his first home and may set a reasonable time frame of within the next 5 or 6 years, he wants to accumulate a certain amount of money that can be used for a down payment. And if he works backwards, he knows how much money he needs to set aside periodically. As we get older, it might be educating a child. As we get even further along, it might be, I want to stop working by the time I'm 65. So at different stages, we have different ways of setting standards for ourselves.